Hi, how you doing?
How are you, Paul?
Great to see you. And it's been a long time. I say it's like 11 years since you've been in this studio.
In this studio?
Well, it wasn't even this studio, but it was in this building at least.
It was a much nicer one.
On the same premises.
You're going down in...
I think it was actually. It was a bit of a kind of more market one. I'm downsizing now in my old age. Yeah. But, so it's very reassuring to know that we're still around, that you're still around, that I'm still around. And
like the one that wouldn't flush away.
That's right. And it's obviously good to know that you've actually got a new album out. And I mean, the amazing thing about it is that when you think about how many years down the line, and it still sounds fresh to me and it still sounds relevant. I mean, is that for you something which is just innate in your consciousness, that it's got to be relevant, it's got to be important? But I mean, or do you think you've just kind of struck lucky that you've managed to?
It just happens. We don't spend that much time sitting around thinking, let's make something fresh. That's what we do. And I'm glad that it does sound like that, in your opinion.
Well, yeah, you expect people to sound jaded after too many records, don't you? I say it after so many records.
We have a lot of time off.
Right.
And we don't see each other, and, then we come back together, and what happens.
Okay, so you think the time off is really important?
I think it's very important.
Right.
And I think when you constant, it becomes drudgery, sort of, you end up being sick of the sight of each other. You time away from music is as important as time doing it.
And has that been a learning process? Have there been times in the past where you've actually got on your nerves? Has there been kind of...
You get to a point where you can't see any light at the end of the tunnel as far as sort of time to yourself is concerned, I mean, like, everyone's got families now, and it couldn't be done the way we used to do it anyway, which is probably a good thing.
Okay. So Dickie's back in the fold now, and he was away for how long?
Oh, a while. From 19... What? How long?
I have no idea.
About 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years, okay.
Yeah.
And did your absence do you good, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure. No, not really. I mean, I've done other musical things when I was away, but I was living in a different town, and my girlfriend was pregnant and stuff, I was living in London, and the boys were from Sunderland, so I couldn't continue,
Okay. And did it seem strange coming back into the fold? Or did it seem like just a very natural thing, just like this is home and this is where the heart is, so to speak?
Yeah, it didn't seem strange to me at all. We play really well together, so it was fine. And then it took a while for us to write the record, because we were Frankie was working in London, and but when we actually got cracking at it, didn't take long
really
at all.
Good. I mean, we just sat in the house. Me and Dickie just sat in the house and just playing basically acoustic guitars, and the result is on the CD. We've got so many other songs as well. Like, we ended up with about 25
or 30
songs.
songs.
And those the 12 on the Stormy Petrel are just the first 12 that was worked on.
So it could have been a double album.
Could have been probably more. We had up here, like, stop making up songs, like, because we just make up 2 guitar parts, verse and a chorus or whatever. We had to say, right, stop now. We need to start working on the ones we've got. We could have just carried on for.
So it could have been a triple album.
Could have been anything,
With a gatefold sleeve.
Then I was an arcade. I wanted it to be a double album. Like,
get Roger Dean to do the cover.
No, I think the double albums are, live ones are for, Live and Dangerous. It's Alive, the Ramones. They're great records, but I don't think there's many double albums like studio albums that are any good.
No.
The 12 songs is all right, but 24 songs all with that same sort of sound. It's too much.
Or just fitting like 74 minutes onto a CD.
Exactly.
It gets long-winded, doesn't it? I think. Yeah.
Yeah. It's too, there's an attention. As human beings, we have an attention span,
right,
which is about 20 minutes, which used to be the side one of an album. You could listen to side one, that's your attention span shot. 5 minutes later, turn it over.
Go and have a sandwich and then turn on.
Psychologically, it was healthier for you to have a 2-sided record than just one long.
Right.
I think Exit the Dragon by Joe Overkill, that's a fantastic double album, but if you on the CD. I think there's about 20 songs on there. Some bands put 18, 20 songs on a single CD, you know. But that's a really good one.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any more.
Just exceptions to the rule, aren't they, more than anything, yeah. So we're going to hear another song from the Stormy Petrel album now, As I Never Say Goodbye, which it's like classic Leatherface, I think, in a way to me. It has a timeless quality about it. I think it's a song...
simple.
Yeah.
Very simple song. 2 verse, chorus, and a little bit.
Right. And no doubt it'll be a song which will go down very well live, I can imagine.
We wanted to play more of these songs before we recorded them to see what they were like live, and this is the song that we were actually playing before we'd done any recording of the other ones, and it went up on YouTube or somewhere like that, and like the next gig we played was people singing along to the thing, you know. It's like,
yeah.
Are you actually posting it on YouTube yourself?
No, someone.
Oh, somebody else did it. It was actually the gig.
Yeah, someone was.
All right.
It was up the same night.
Right. Okay.
It was like about 2 hours after the gig. It was up.
Okay. Of course, you've always had a really good fan basis in Germany, and they seem to be very reliable. Maybe that's what the Germans are renowned for, of course, for being kind of trustworthy and reliable. I mean, do you think that's been the case in other territories as well? Is Germany special in that respect, or are other countries just as loyal in that respect?
Germany is like basically the first place we came to. When we first came to Europe, we came to Germany. So we've got a big soft spot for Germany, not just the beer, you know. But I wouldn't say it was unique. You know, there is. You know, everywhere there is a little group of people who are like, you know, linked. They all seem to be sort of almost friends. You know, if you meet, I met a guy once in a bar and we were sat talking, and he said, "Oh, I like Wire," and like Wire are a similar sort of like, you meet friends through Leatherface, I think. You know, there's not a lot of people who sort of like Leatherface, you know, but they like each other, you know. I think it's a little select little lonely person's club.
I wouldn't underestimate it, though, and I don't think it's such a lonely club. No, I wouldn't underestimate it at all.
All right.
Because I know a lot of people who, well, maybe they listen to my show, you see, they've all got to know, they've got become friends with each other probably over the years. But I don't know. I take your point, though. And what I find interesting is that you seem to have this kind of legendary status, which is a relative term to say legendary status.
Yes, of course.
Obviously, it's legendary status in your case, in the underground sense of the word, maybe, but rather more than the mainstream sense. But nonetheless, certainly there's some truth in that, because I've known of people who I've told them that this gig was going to be on tonight, the Half and Clank, and they were visibly annoyed they wouldn't be able to make it. Like the 3 of them, and they definitely can't come, and they were in a really bad mood because they couldn't come. You know, whereas, you know, there's so many gigs in a place like Hamburg, like 2 a penny, and you could tell it really put them in a bad frame of mind. And I think, you know, that only happens when a band has really struck a deep chord somewhere.
Something really, really weird that I find is when people fly thousands of miles to come to see us play, you know, like in a place that holds 200 people. It's like, what are you doing? You know, like...
Can I hope it's not sold out before they arrive at the gig tonight?
You know, usually they sort of like pick up on one of us and say, look, we've flown from Norway or somewhere, and you know, we'll sort out getting them in. I mean, anyone who flies that far is just on the guest list. That's it. It's not, you know. But quite often,
that's flying from somewhere like Norway to where then?
To say, I don't know, Munich or something like, you know, like from halfway up Norway. There's a few people do this quite often.
Okay.
You know, they'll turn up in London, and it's people from America flying in to London, and it's like. It's crazy. Well, especially as well when we play Sunderland, there's more people there from elsewhere because people like to see us play in in our hometown. You got people from Ireland. There was a guy.
And they come all the way
last
to
time-
Sunderland, especially.
Just because that's
Right.
how, they think there's going to be something special about the hometown gig, and usually it's a lot of people that we know, like mutual friends, who don't actually like each other, and it's sometimes not the best sort of atmosphere
Yeah.
of a hometown gig, for us anyway. But yeah, they come from all over the place.
Right.
There's more people from Ireland and Norway than there is people from Sunderland when we play there.
And I mean, it's all about, at the end of the day, kind of people's emotional connection to what you do. And so, I mean, all the way down the line, there must be something, you must have been doing something right, obviously.
But I think it goes both ways. I mean, it's like an audience, like they make my day.
Okay.
It's a two-way. It's a two-way thing. If there's no one there, that's a rubbish gig.
Okay.
And if there's a lot of people there and the band don't turn up, that's still a rubbish gig. It's a two-way thing.
Right, and you said the Sunderland gigs aren't actually necessarily all that good because it's the
Well,
hometown.
they're not.
Yeah.
I don't really like playing, to a lot of people that I know,
So, we're talking about people flying all over the world to see you, and this song's called My World's End. But and is it something which you find still enjoyable, the touring process? I mean, you've been to America recently, you've been to Canada, you said as well. I mean, is it probably quite draining, isn't it? I mean,
The travelling is.
Yeah.
I mean, in Canada and the States, I think we did 24 straight off. I think
23 straight
23.
off.
The plane is the plane. That's what it's all geared around. You got to travel to get to this place. The plane, it does. Long aeroplane flights. Do
Jet lag.
Do wear you out breathing recycled air, and you always come off a flight feeling like spotty and just carrying everyone else's diseases, like swine flu and stuff.
But you don't actually have a strict fitness regime or anything like that?
Well, I've started going to the gym.
Oh, right, cool.
I've started going to the gym. I have periods of doing this, usually when we haven't played for a while. And then we play, and I think, Jesus, I'm a little unfit, so I better do something about it, every time you go away, you drink too much, you come back with a slight alcohol problem and a fat belly, and you've got to, when none of us getting any younger, you've got to do something to stand up there for an hour.
Right.
I need to address my problem. Definitely put me gym shoes on instead of me pub shoes.
And drink responsibly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't do anything silly, I just do the rowing machine and a bike. It's not steroids and Arnold Schwarzenegger business going on,
Okay. But I mean, this album itself, I mean, it sounds still very energetic. I mean, you don't seem to have lost anything in terms of dynamics or in terms of... He doesn't sound complacent in any way. And, I mean... And that seems remarkable in itself, and it's touching a bit on what we were saying at the beginning, but I mean, most people, no matter what they do in terms of a job, and once they've been doing it for like 20 years, there's this kind of complacency usually sets in, and they kind of think of, one kind of clock off and maybe early retirement or whatever like that. But do you think that's the difference between a normal job and being a musician, that it's a profession for life, isn't it?
It's the time away again. You're
Okay.
not doing this 9 to 5. Every day of the week. It's like it's a sporadic. It's an intense thing for a period of time, and then you've got the time away from it again. People would love the jobs if they could work for a month and have a month off. It's the drudgery of having to do something 9 to 5 every day.
It's interesting that the fact that I think your lyrics have often been, say, underestimated. I mean, so they've maybe not been cause a great amount of discussion, but it's kind of people just assume with the kind of band you are, then the lyrics are going to be kind of stream of consciousness stuff, just getting it out of your system as part of the kind of the passionate rock and roll experience. But I've often, they're pretty intelligent lyrics. They're quite poetic at times. They're quite political at times, but never overbearing. You're kind of like a less annoying version of Billy Bragg. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Billy's not annoying.
Well, no, I mean, well,
he sort of preaches it.
yeah, well, I
preaches
really
it.
like Bill. I mean, I've always been a big supporter of Bill. But what I'm saying is that he's got a message to convey, and he wants to really make sure you get that message.
All right.
And I just get the impression with you, there's something a bit more laid back about you. You want to vent your spleen. You want to just get it out of your system. And if people don't agree, well, so what? Well, that's the difference.
I don't care. I don't care if people agree. It's just my view of the world. It's a song. I'm not going to browbeat people into, I don't know, what would it be called? Just, ranting at people.
Yeah.
It's not in me to sort of, I rant, but it's a different...
it's a private rant.
It's a private little... my view of politics is probably different to Billy's, He's full-on socialist, and I'm sort of, I don't know, milder.
Right. I know there have been some, obviously, on this new album, like on the God Is Dead song, obvious comments which are easy enough to understand about President Obama getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
How ridiculous is that? The God is definitely dead. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I was like... I just want to hit myself in the face with a bat. It's just like...
But I think it's interesting, though, because no matter what your viewpoint on that subject like that, it just emphasizes the fact that it makes what you do, your new material, relevant, because it's of the time. It's not a record which could have been done like 20 years ago, because there's references to what's going on now.
Of course, I believe that you could write quite an accurate history of the world by folk, the lyrics to folk music. It's just putting down in words what's going on around, and it's more humanitarian history, more social history than a political history.
Yeah.
Because Obama getting the Nobel Peace Prize is not a political statement to me. That's just pointing out the ridiculous position we are in the world. He's in 2 wars and he gets a Peace Prize.
Right.
It's insane.
And of course, on the song Diego Garcia, that's a political statement again, isn't it? Because it's quite an obscure political statement, really, though. Because
it's just hidden. It's just one of the most appalling pieces of British history that's just been sort of swept under the carpet, and entire people just swept under the carpet. It was a British. Looked after by the British. It was a small island in the Indian Ocean that was pretty much given to the American government in the 60s, but to the Americans to build a base that makes Guantanamo Bay look like Ponton. So, it's and the people, 2,000 people were just sent to Mauritius, where they sort of ended up trying to make a living through prostitution, drugs. And it's still going on. This,
is it part of the Mauritius Islands?
It's no. It's the Mauritius is quite a long way off. It's I can't remember which. It's part of an archipelago. I can't remember the name. But it was given, and it's still going on because these people are fighting. They're still living in abject poverty, and they're fighting for the right to visit Diego Garcia, to visit the graves of their ancestors.
And they're living on a neighbouring island, or what?
They're living on Mauritius,
right?
And the Diego Garcia is just flattened. It's just a military base, and they were being told, look, we can't get a boat to, it's still in the courts now. It's like still being argued about. They couldn't get a ship to take them, so someone on the Mauritius said, look, you can use my ship. So they all got on this ship, and we don't need your ship. We found our own, and they sailed over, and they were just gunships went out, were turned round, and sent back. And for 40 years, all they've been trying to do is go and visit the graves of their ancestors.
Mm-hmm, okay.
And they should have had British passports. This was the thing. What the British government is doing now with the Gurkhas, part of the British Empire, that British Army rather. From Nepal, the British Army, when it was at the height of its imperialism, couldn't beat the Gurkhas, so it actually got the Gurkhas to fight for the British Army, and now they're just being sent back to Nepal to get some of these people have been fighting for the British Army for 30 years, and they're just being treated like, you know, go home. You're not getting, not getting any health, you're not getting any pension.
Does it seem like the old times now that Dickie's back when you play live, like having the extra guitarist there, the fuller sound?
It is better. I do like having, you know, Dickie's guitar there as well. It's something for me to hide behind.
I was going to say, because I saw you a couple of times without Dickie as well, and it was quite interesting in a way because it made you kind of, you got more into the limelight. You was kind of the centre of attention. You were like more of the icon at the front of the stage there.
Well, I was thinking more.
We were watching you every movement.
More to do with the mistakes I play on the guitar.
Maybe we're concentrating on those more.
His cover up. You know.
Yeah.
You know, dancing and playing the guitar is hard.
And has your attitude changed towards your older material as the years go by? I mean, do you still see those songs in the same light as you ever did, as just a legitimate part of your legacy, or do you actually lose interest in old songs, or do you actually gain interest maybe in other old songs which you'd kind of forgotten about? Or
you can't. I don't spend any time at all listening to old Leatherface records, but sometimes I'll be subjected to one of them in, you know, someone else's house, and it is quite interesting how many songs I've forgotten. You know, you hear it and sort of, I recognise this, and it's you, but you can't, like, and it sounds really good. I mean, it's a song that I might not have liked at the time, but listening to it with like 10 years separation, it's weird how that works. You know, like it's not something I would do sitting in my own, sitting in the comfort of my own room, you know, my own home. But you know, they're not going to go anywhere. I've got to live with them.
But there's still a certain amount of old material in your set still, I presume.
Oh yeah, of course. We'll try and you know, play a bit of all of it. Everything's new stuff. My thing is, I'm never happier than when a new song's finished. You know?
Okay.
Like, that's it. I'm cloud 9.
Right.
And then it's on to the next one.
Okay.
We're here to play it and promote the new album. So obviously there's going to be 6 or 7 songs in the set tonight off that.
Right. Okay.
So there's going to be less old songs, but the classics, all the classics are there.
All the classics.
Right. Okay. So in other words, there's going to be plenty of mush and plenty of mix.
Few mush, few bits of this, bits of that.
Right.
You know.
Okay. I mean, it's funny because, I mean, if you ask kind of like the old school Leatherface fans, I mean, the ones who are almost as old as we are, whatever, they would probably claim that Mush is their favourite Leatherface album. And are you happy with that? I mean, are you a bit frustrated the idea that you think that people just tend to get too nostalgic or just get stuck in the past and not really moving on sufficiently?
It's, you know, if it's up to them, really. I can't insist that they're like the new one more than Mush. I mean, the thing is, like, another thing I've noticed about being in Leatherface is as we get older, the audience stays the same age. We tend not to have, like, you know, large amounts of old fat-bellied farts. The audience in the United States is a really young audience. And
you've been playing with young musicians yourself, haven't you, as well? I mean, the other musicians. Younger. Well,
very much younger.
Okay.
They were. But not this time round.
So the old people with the mortgages, they just stay at home because they can't afford to pay the mortgage anyway, and so they can't afford the admission for your concerts.
I probably think I'm not going to go and listen to a load of Leatherface new stuff. You know, it's like it's a difficult thing. You want to keep moving along the bus. You know.
Yeah. Now that's interesting though, because you're reaching a new audience. You talk about new generations of fans. And that's very important, isn't it?
It is to me.
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to be sort of cabaret acts, you know, like I don't know, just not, you know, playing the same songs in 20 years' time without anything new coming along.
No,
that would be fairly soul destroying, I would think.
Of course. And it's a bit of you tend to look at it as the way that it's nothing to do with age, it's to do with the freshness of the product. And you actually think that, like, the chances are that the younger people would like to be more receptive to what you do, to your new stuff, because they're just not as rusty, I suppose, really, in their way of thinking.
But that's the same, you know, everyone goes through that period of, you know, like, whenever you left school or whatever, you know, you have your rebellious period. And then you mellow with age. But there's the next... The crowd stays the same age. It's weird, you know.
So
weird,
you're
like falling apart. the audience is the same.
So it's,
same age.
Yeah. So you're obviously you're speaking to a new rebellious generation, which changes every few years. So you're on your sixth rebellious generation of.
I'm like I'm like the stupid old uncle. You know.
Yeah,
the amount of, I do get a lot of emails from the younger people telling me that I'm getting them through all sorts of, you know, juvenile angst and stress. You know, that sort of,
yeah,
you know.
Okay.
Agony aunt, that's me.
Right, well, so running out of time very rapidly now. Well, thanks very much for coming down.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again, Paul.
And it's not going to be another 11 years till you go down again. Because the studio will be even smaller next time.
Well, you know, I'll have slightly less hair, slightly larger belly.
Okay. So, wir hören jetzt zum Schluss Broken von dem neuen Album The Stormy Petrel von Leatherface. Und das war der Nachtclub mit Paul Baskerville. Meine Studiogäste waren Frankie und Dickie von der Band Leatherface. Ich wünsche euch eine gute Nacht.